Okay, howdy, Ags. I'm headed home from the game, driving down Highway 6. Just wanted to give you some quick thoughts and analysis after having watched the game. First thought is we have a good team. We don't have a great team. We've got some very specific weaknesses that I think were part of the game plan that we needed to minimize, but were essentially the same as Alabama's, and they just did a much better job of scheming and planning for them to exploit ours and hide theirs than we did. Let's go, position by position group, I think, and just kind of really break this down. Then we'll talk about the game as it progressed. And I'll tell you, this is not, I think, the same reaction I would have had for Miami. Miami, when we lost that game, this felt like a woe is me kind of situation. Like, what the hell were we doing against Miami? This was frustrating because there's a handful of plays that probably were the big deal leading into this loss. Jermaine Burton is just a beast. He was an absolute beast in this game. We just did not have an answer for him. And other than that, this team played really well. And other teams are going to have to try and exploit these weaknesses. And there are some things that I think that we can do to make it easier and better for us to play, so they can play it at least a slightly higher level and hopefully hide our weaknesses. So start off right off the bat. We often at the end of games, you'll see, especially in Texas high school football, the coaches are getting after the players. And I was watching a game just last night, and that's the case. And very often, you don't have it where the players are getting after the coaches for the things that they do. That's usually kind of left up for the media pundits like myself, armchair quarterbacks, like that we do. So I want to start off there. I want to say, generally speaking, our game plan was pretty good, but when it came to, I would say, Petrino and Durkin's adjustments at halftime, they just weren't there the way I thought that they needed to be there. My thought the whole time was that we needed to hide our offensive line disparities. And guys, it was part of the preview. We are just not great at holding up in kind of 1-versus-1 situations, right? So when we go 4 wide receivers, no tight ends, and sometimes even just with 1 tight end, that our offensive linemen are essentially mano a mano against their defensive line. That's just not been their strength. So they're going one-on-one there. When we bring in the extra tight end or 2, we're blocking more as a group at that time. And we've just done way better. I mean, look at what we did against Auburn and Arkansas. So for me, that was a play calling issue, and I would have liked to seen Petrino work through that a lot more, and it for other reasons as well. I think we did it early on, and we trusted Stewart to get down the field and make some plays, and then we just kind of stopped doing it. It looked like we had the matchup quite often, although it looked like their safety was ready to bracket Stewart, and we just weren't ready to do that. So I'll go ahead and flip over to the other side real quick, because these are my 2 biggest areas of concern, and that's the secondary. Damani Richardson, for all the time that he has been with us, he has just not been good with cover. He is a downhill player. Maybe he should have been a linebacker and made to have been that. That seems to suit him a little bit more. He just struggled at recognizing when he needed to be over the top. He was late reacting on a number of plays. The 54-yarder that they had in the first half to give them their only touchdown of the first half, and then at least 1 or 2 others in the second half. Again, both, I believe, for Jermaine Burton. The first one actually wasn't Jermaine Burton, but it was a blown coverage, and we've just got to be there. DeBerry, he's got very specific strengths and weaknesses. He knows how to lay the wood, but he gives space. Him and Deuce give a little bit of space. They're not quite cover corners like that. Maybe would it have been better for Chappelle to have been on Burton the whole game? I don't know, maybe. But we just didn't seem to have a good awareness of where we needed to be with that group. Now, defensive line, and I think I'll go ahead and bleed into the first half with this. We pretty much dominated the first half. I thought we played really well. Again, we have a good team, so I hate to lose, but if we had say 5 more points and minus a safety, I'd really be thinking a lot differently about this team. But it is what it is. It played out the way it played out. We missed a touchdown. Anais dropped one in the end zone. Okay, that happens. And but this defensive line really solidified themselves. They're very dominant in the first half and gave way quite a bit in the second half. But that's not really that accurate, right? They schemed that up. They gave themselves a much better option for protection because they ran such a scheme that they were going to have more tight end work, and they used Nye Black and the other tight end to do a lot of their blocking. But other than that, between the defensive line and the linebackers, they had one hell of an effort. Cooper was just all over the field. York shows lots of signs of being able to recognize where he needs to be, flaring out on running backs, covering tight ends when they bleed out. He did a really excellent job. Bryce Anderson, also really excellent job from him. The interception right there, I think in the third quarter, was really a big play. But then to have turned it over right after that on a hell of a play by their defensive back as well was really a pretty big turning point. We have to also then be better from the running back standpoint. I thought we did well. Amari's he's solid. Ruben Owens, again, talented. Le'Veon Moss, very good. But from a offensive line standpoint, our 4th and 1s have been been in need of some work. There's no other way to say it. We've just not been solid there. We've had success at times, but when we really needed that one in the first quarter, and to miss out on that was pretty dire. What else? Quarterback Max, pretty good job overall. Of course, there's some wide open coverages he missed for here and there. It's hard when you're getting pushed one way or the other. The interception did hurt, but in large part he limited them. Of course, it wasn't a pick 6, so that's always at least beneficial. But that did help them take momentum in the game, and we really just couldn't get it back ever since. They got that interception, went down and scored. Got the ball back after I think the next possession, scored again. Now they're up, I think 24-17, so up by a touchdown because that had tied the game previously. And then we just continue to force 4 wide receivers the rest of the game, it seemed like. And I get it, we're kind of maybe in that situation, but that caused a lot more sacks than we had been giving up. Our offensive line looked very serviceable the last two games, and remember that's going up against what was said to be a quite good Arkansas pass rush, a quite experienced Arkansas defense. Well, obviously Alabama's is better. However, just look at the reasons why, I think. So that's kind of what I saw, from a moment-to-moment in-game look. Definitely can't wait to watch the game again. It's going to kill me to do it. I mean, we're up 17-10 at the half, and then just come out and can't even muster up another touchdown with a few opportunities. It was unfortunate that Anais drug his foot, but we still would have needed a little bit more after that. The safety would have... I just hate when that happens. I just hate safeties. They're just... they rub me the wrong way. They make it feel like you got dominated, which in the play we did, there's some real issues there on the offensive line. So I think moving forward, here's what we need to do. We need to understand, and I made this comment after we played Auburn, that second half, I said, I think we found our identity. I think our coaches have to understand who our team is, what they're good at and what they're not good at. And we've just got to play to that. I don't think there's going to be many other teams that are going to be able to exploit us in those areas of weakness the way Bama did. But still, we make the decision on what we're going to do on offense. We know that we need more protection for a number of reasons. One, because that's how we feed the ball to the wide receivers. Two, we're down to one quarterback, and we have got to keep the guy healthy if we want to have any semblance of success this year. So there's lots of good reasons for that to happen. Two, on defense, we know, we said this in the preview, we struggle, particularly DeBerry, anything past 20 yards. I could not have said it any more verbatim than that. And so it is frustrating when the fans watch, armchair quarterbacks like myself watch, and it feels like, you could diagnose these things sometimes better than the coaches. Now, I'm not saying that's what we're able to do here, but of course the game's more complex, but there is some truth to it. We've got to understand who these guys are, and perhaps in this game, Damani was supposed to be there over the top, and Jermaine Burton was a key, and maybe he was just that much of a guy, that much of a dude that he's taken over the game. That's very possible. But in large part, we've got to know who this team is. It's a team that needs a little bit more help on the offensive line, and it's a team that needs to operate specifically from a pressure standpoint. Every time Milroe had, say, more than 3 seconds, he was pretty much able to find somebody to throw to and take a shot down the field and get one-on-one, right? They did exactly to us in the second half with their personnel groupings on the offense to get one-on-one matchups that I really wish we had done, and which I think is the game plan for us. So we got to know who this team is. And once we embrace that, I think we're going to be an even better team than we are. We are a very good team, and we played a very good team who really played the most ideal situation they probably could have to the maximum extent they probably should have to be able to win. I think I don't want to say caught lightning in a bottle, but they played it the way it needed to be played so that they could win. They took their shots, and they benefited off of them, and it worked out. Can't blame them for that. They stuck to it, and man, hey, credit to them for executing. We got to go do that. All right? So Tennessee's up next. Gonna have lots of thoughts on them. We have a good team here, and this is definitely a game to build off of and take the next step and embrace who we are. Talk to you soon, Ags. Get your Tennessee preview coming up soon. Let's see what we can do with the rest of this season.